Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. I'm your host, Colors Fade. It's episode 30. We are in the Kiavagama Manufactorum. We are ready to head over to the next section down here to the south. First, we need to level everybody up. Let's start with Juliet. So the last thing she took was Perception and Penetrating Sight. So now she needs Heightened Concentration. Whenever Bounty Hunter scores a critical hit, they gain +7 armor penetration until the end of combat. It stacks, so every time they get a critical hit, this stacks. And this is based on their perception. Fantastic. Cabela is going up. And for her, the last thing she grabbed was It Will Not Die. This was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This was 4 after. Oh yeah, so It Will Not Die. So Deep Laceration is what she's supposed to get next. When using Scourging Strikes, the Executioner's melee critical hits inflict 9 levels of bleeding instead of 6. Fantastic for her. Cassia. 4 levels after the AP increase. For Cassia, she's going to take Undam the Sea of Souls. Way down here. While under the effects of any navigator power, enemies have their armor reduced by 19. This is based on probably her willpower bonus. Yep. This reduction is increased by the devastating parameter of the navigator staff, but does not stack. Still, it's really good anytime you take armor off enemies. That's fantastic. Pascal, our friend, 4 levels past that, he gets Hunter's Ambush. We can find it right here. When the Bounty Hunter performs a single shot attack, which is what he will do, on an immobilized or stunned target, which is what Cassia does for us, this attack refunds its cost and does not count for the attack limit once per round. So he gets a free shot every round based on that, which is just fantastic. Heinrichs Van Kalox is very upset with us after what we did. He gets Bat Draft. We want to pick that up way down here in the flaming part of things. These are all his skills that have to do with his being a pyro. So Backdraft, whenever a psychic power used by the psycho deals damage, a random enemy within 2 cells from the initial target suffers half of this damage. That damage does not trigger this talent again, thankfully. It doesn't chain. That would be too powerful. But it's pretty awesome. And then for us, we get down here and we get Adrenaline Surge, which I have to go find. It's down here in the next level right there. First round of every combat, all psychic powers of the Biomancy discipline cost -1 action point, so he'll be able to buff himself for free at the beginning of a turn, which is great. Okay, so now what we need to do is turn this thing. We have to head south. So, which direction is south? Which direction is the camera pointed? It's not pointed the right way. We want to go this way.
Is there money to be made?
This is where Van Kalox will tell you, if you try to leave, if you try to go out this way after defeating the big censor at the end of last episode, he'll tell you, I'm not done here. The system accepts the access codes. The clanging of moving bolts indicates the door has been unlocked. So now we go into the next part. And here we are in this strange, what is this mass of flesh over here? This is very gross. Numerous wires and pipes run to the filthy cages, which are filled with what looks like a conglomeration of human bodies. You cannot make out who is in the cage, but bright blue sparks flash intermittently in the darkness while the mass of flesh twitches and shudders. For shame. Heinrichs cast a scrutinizing eye over one of the cages before withdrawing his weapon and approaching to examine what lies inside. Through the metal bars you see it truly is a pile of human bodies, or something that used to be. The monstrously deformed bodies have fused together in places, while others were severed using saws and knives, leaving wounds seeping pus and slime. Wounds that are agglutinated. What is that word? Agglutinating? Wow, I've never heard that word before. Agglutinating and sprouting tendons. Rods connected to wires that run to a nearby cogitator bristled across the flesh. One of the human heads turns to you. Mercy. Yes, you would want some mercy after that. Even attempting to speak causes the mutant pain, but he bears the agony and forces out the words, "Mercy." And "Kid, stop." You examine the pulsating mass of flesh. The creature in the cage seems to be composed of several bodies joined together. You see no sutures or any other means by which the separate parts could have connected. Among the layer of meat, you can discern large knots of muscle, various limbs, exposed bones, parts of faces, and entire heads. Only warp sorcery is capable of creating such an abomination while preserving its ability to live on. Who are you? Foreman, Sector Ertz. Mercy. The mutant falls silent for a few moments, but then his voice comes back stronger. Foreman from Boiler 3. We're from the lower levels. The final words are drowned out by a moan. Heinrich takes in his surroundings and once again fixes his attention on the contents of the nearest cage. I'm beginning to have some idea. The Lex mechanic mentioned the inhabitants of the lower levels who had been imprisoned in their homes. He said some of them were brought here. The cultists did something to those poor people in their own home, and now they're studying the result. The Lex mechanic talked about some kind of slag waste disposal and chaos symbols on machines. What are the arch enemy's minions doing to the people of the lower levels? To know the workings of dark sorcery means allowing corruption into oneself. Heinrich scowls. These are warp mutations, no doubt. Perhaps there was some side effect, and that is why they were brought here, to be connected to sensors and cogitators. Even fallen tech priests who have rejected the Omnissiah are driven by a perverted hunger for knowledge. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I have seen a great deal, rogue trader. That includes mutations caused by the sorcery of chaos. But what frightens me most is not their repulsive form, but what is hiding beneath it. A human soul in torment. Chaos never forgets to ensure its victims retain the ability to suffer. Why do you think they're hooked up to cogitators? Heinrich carefully studies the screens of the computing machines. Lingua technis, corrupted by the scrap code, I'm sure. It's unlikely we will be able to extract anything of value from their data crypts. Thinking, Heinrich clenches his fist and bites down on a knuckle, and then recoils when the mutant from the nearest cage reaches a hand out to him through the bars. You. A female face watches you from within the gloom of the cage. Even though half of her head has been turned into a mess of bones and lumpen growths, her single eye looks at you with a surprising amount of intelligence. You promised us. Her words are echoed by other voices in the depths of the cages. Heinrich leans toward the cage, but at sufficient distance to ensure that the mutant cannot reach him. Who are you talking to? What did they promise you? Who are they? You took us from the inferno. You promised us a reward. Her face contorts in a grimace and the creature's lips stick together like melted wax. I'll be damned. They can still speak. They remember the people who did this to them. Heinrich balls his fists in powerless rage, and then he frowns in thought. Perhaps a little biomancy will allow us to draw the fragments of knowledge out of them, or it will trigger further changes. Cabela stares at the pile of fused flesh without blinking. I do not hear their names in the Undying One's whispers. They have become too twisted, and he no longer remembers them. Heinrich, let this go. You are only prolonging their suffering. Heinrich nods. I am inclined to relieve their suffering. Every moment of existence in such a state is pure torture for the people locked in these sheaths. It seems your mind is already made up. These people need deliverance from their suffering. Yes, they do. No one would want to be stuck in a fate like that. Ugh. Heinrich wavers for another moment and then leans over the cogitators. Each mutant has cables attached. I may not know the nature of these machines, but it isn't too difficult to increase the voltage. This switch here. It's Twister, gone wrong. You have to be of a certain age to remember Twister. Nowadays, kids just eat Tide Pods. You hear the cackle of electricity. The wires glow with blue sparks, and the creatures locked in the cages drop lifelessly to the floor. The sharp tang of burned meat hangs in the air. That's that, then. But do you know what bothers me, rogue trader? The number of people here. There are too few. The lower levels of similar manufactorums are inhabited by millions. What happened to the rest of them? He shakes his head. I know I won't like the answer. Let's go. We still haven't done what we came here to do. No, we haven't. So let's move
keep
on.
Your eye on the prize.
Is there anything over here? Anything up in this direction that you guys want? Nothing here? Want to make sure that I'm not missing out on lootage. Okay. Because I can always just check the map and there's nothing there. What do we have now? Oh, look up here. What's this place? Data vault. The massive cogitator grows out of the metal bulkheads like a grotesque tumor. A hollow roar sounds from deep within the metal housing. Whatever spurred the computer into action, it has enough power to supply a small command center. As soon as your eyes fall upon the cogitator, you feel a tingling in your temples. Every nook, every component of the machine radiates a sense of wrongness, one that is difficult to explain but no less palpable for that. It is as though the construct itself defies the laws of physics and perspective. Heinrichs makes a warning gesture. His voice, ringing slightly with tension, is threaded with disquiet. Stop! Halt! That is a creation of the archenemy. Don't go near it. You have done enough for me and my mission. Don't put yourself at risk now. Heinrichs is going to step forward and do it himself. As soon as Heinrichs takes another step toward the cogitator, it emits a deafening shriek, like hundreds of metal needles driving into toughened glass, as though sensing the stranger. Wincing, Heinrichs approaches the control panel and bends down toward the screens. Despite the heat clogging the room, you feel an ice-cold breeze. Heinrichs is clearly using his psyker abilities to try to fend off the pernicious effects of the Chaos artifact. The Omnissiah's grace has not touched this object. This mechanism was not desecrated, but born flawed and unnatural. Iron most profane. Pascal unhurriedly produces a data slate. Initiating observation log. Let not fear stand in the path of knowledge. I am the rogue trader. I will do what I want. Heinrichs is too engrossed in the examination of the control panel to stop you. You draw closer to the side section of the cogitator housing, which has several thick cables running from it. With each step toward the flickering screens, your feeling that the cogitator is watching you with rapidly blinking eyes grows stronger and stronger. Up close, you see that besides button switches and toggles, the cogitator casing is also covered in strange writing. The cogitator displays a wall of text on its screens. The strings of symbols is a senseless mixture of numbers, formulas, and unfamiliar characters. There seems to be no logic to it, and yet there is no doubt that the cogitator is computing calculations on a prodigious scale.
I'll brush this off.
You study the runes carefully, and suddenly you feel a lancing pain in your eyes, followed by a sharp pang in your chest. You leap away from the cogitator with your heart pounding and rushing in your ears. A bundle of cables is coming from the broken side panel of the cogitator. They were clearly added after the machine came off the manufactorum's production line. The wires snake along the floor and disappear inside a maintenance hatch that leads to somewhere down below. You take a step backward, and suddenly one of the cogitator screens changes color, becoming a bright yellow. Your eyes are helplessly drawn to the bilious hue. You turn sharply away from the screen, and you can almost feel invisible shackles falling away. The realization comes a moment later. You were not fighting against your own curiosity, but against someone's malevolent will, which has now lost its hold on you. A minute passes, then another. You watch Heinrichs examine the cogitator. His eyes scan the screens, his hands darting from the reel to the lever, sometimes hovering uncertainly over the next switch, which immediately receives a coating of frost. At some point, you hear his voice almost a whisper, barely audible above the clanging, roaring machine. Sacrifices. More and more sacrifices every minute. Heinrich looks at you, his eyes darker now, appearing almost black in his white face. Hecatomb determinis. The womb of this cursed machine is down on the lower levels. The auxiliary enumerator controls the system for delivering molten waste under the manufactorum's main building. This cogitator is fueled by the energy harnessed from thousands of people who are flowing beneath our feet as slag waste as we speak. But I cannot even imagine the reason for sacrificing all these people. It's inconceivable. Now we know why the fabricator sensor prized this monster so highly. The cursed tech priest and his associates created something that went beyond the limits of the Omnissiah's power. This machine is designed to process myriad possibilities using warp sorcery. It has almost finished its task. It predicts the future, Holt. How is that even possible? Do not attempt to gain any insight into the essence of the machines corrupted by the archenemy. At least, not if you value your soul. I have encountered the heretics' mechanical abominations before. To truly fathom their nature is to allow a particle of death into your heart. Heinrich is silent for a few moments. But the fruit they bear, no matter how abhorrent their instruments, the fruit they bear could be useful. You intend to let a creation from beyond the veil do what it was designed to do? Urieliette stares at Heinrich in astonishment. Is it not your calling to protect your kind from the schemes and temptations of Salandresh? You cannot understand this, Xenos. Knowing one's enemy is the path toward destroying them. If, in order to prevent countless future calamities, I must perpetrate one of my own, such is my duty to the Golden Throne. Urieliette remains silent for a while, her head tilted to one side. Not only do you not keep watch over your kin, you even sacrifice your own souls to your dead god. It is astounding. Heinrich's clouded gaze suddenly clears and he glares at the cogitator. No. The cult's filthy ravings are not worth that. What we can extract from its storage drives will be enough. Your influence has made Heinrich's more merciful. Well, we need to stop the cogitator, for the sake of the people still alive down there. Heinrich vacillates for another second, then shakes his head as though clearing away mental fog. I almost succumb to the arch-enemy's old trick, the lure of the unattainable, the primary of all traps that chaos sets for unwary souls. Heinrich's movements are exact and purposeful, unlike his earlier operation with the cogitator. One after another, the cogitator screens begin to fade to black, and the roar coming from inside the machine quiets to a barely perceptible growl, in which you imagine you hear notes of dejection. Finish it off, Heinrich. Heinrich bends over the keys and flinches as if from an electric shock. His head snaps back unnaturally, and you see his lips moving. Cogitator lets out a roar that grows louder by the second. Oh, look at there.
Grovel before the
It's
true power of
time.
humanity.
Heinrich, get over here. No, that's Cassie. Okay, we want Cassie kind of like right here. Heinrich, you can move here. Domin. Get over there. Where am I? Right here. Pascal. Let's see, what do we want to do? You can move over there, and then we'll move. Oh, we need her to be like a distance away here. She could be over here on this side. This might not be too bad. Actually, I got a better idea. No, I don't. I don't have a better idea. Yeah, I'm gonna put her over here. Alright, start the bath. Cassia, this is up to you. You gotta get this thing here. Warp damage for it, so let's give it. It's gonna take increased warp damage.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
And then this is gonna cost 2, and this is gonna cost what, 1? So yeah, suck their willpower
I'm
down,
not accustomed to being ordered around.
then hit them with this and hope that we can
Me?
stun it. Yes, we did. We stunned it. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. Give some additional firepower over here. There we go. A little bit more defense right here.
If I may.
Good. You're golden. All right, darling.
Death comes in silence.
Smack.
The shadows will see it done
I know.
as the tenets demand.
All right, so a bit of misfortune there right in the middle of a fight. I got a phone call and had to deal with a whole bunch of stuff. This is actually a day later now for the rest of this fight. My wife and I are trying to get a room completely remodeled in our house, our bedroom. A lot of people don't know this, but for the last decade, my office has actually been in our bedroom. And that's a huge pain in the ass, as you can probably imagine. But with enough children now going off to college, we have more rooms available. So we moved me into an office the last couple of weeks, and now we've been revamping our bedroom to be just our bedroom, which is fantastic. Had to get in touch with the guy doing the floors, so we're back here. Cabela, what would we like to have you do? Let's go attack this thing. It's got 300 and plus 50 plus hit points, so that's a lot. We're gonna have her kind of dance around. She's doing a great job with that. Okay. So Cabela's there. The Tzeentch Screamer. And then we have Yurliet. She can land another exploit on this thing. And if I... Let's see, Pascal's dead. I probably should have waited to put her exploit on there so that Pascal could have even more of a bonus, but that's okay. Did we do this?
I understand your
This is her
intent.
first turn, I assume. So we'll do this. What's this thing's defense look like? It's... Oh, yeah, it's got 0 defense and 0 defense. That's great. Okay. We can just plow away at this thing. Did we do bounty on it? We didn't. Alright. In that case, let's shoot this thing.
No weakness is hidden
Screamer
from
of
our sun.
Tzeentch. We'll do this.
If I
That's nice. It hits. I don't need to do this because if she... Well, maybe not. When this thing dies, it might bring out blue horrors or something. So we'll get hot on the trail on there. Van Kalax. Okay. Why don't you come over here? Why don't you do it over here?
I need a foothold.
I know. Okay. What I want you to do, I think, is as much of this as possible. Yeah, you got everybody. That's great. More resolve. What I want to do here. I want to buff you. I'm gonna run up here and
But
hit
of
this
course,
thing.
Lord Captain.
Do some damage to it. Why don't you set it on fire? Okay, this thing's gonna die real soon.
Naturally.
Pascal's probably gonna kill it.
Explorers know one route. Forward.
Forward, he says. Alright, do your
Prognosis is favorable.
perfect spot.
My vow is to serve.
Now there's 11 exploits on it. Go ahead and blast it. In fact, you can do this. Overcharge it because you're not going to have to shoot again. Very nice. 134. That's amazing. Okay. Heinrich stares at the smoldering ashes of the demon and then at the destroyed cogitator. A furrow on his brow slowly smooths out. His face looks almost contented. The creation of chaos is no more. I hope the fabricator censor did not have time to pass on the secrets of this creature to his associates. And I hope that the survivors down on the lower levels can hold on until we liberate Kiavagama. Juliet looks at Heinrichs. There is more wisdom in you than I had thought at first. One must never touch what was created by. I can do without the Xenos moralizing. Know your place. Juliet's momentarily unfurrowed brow quickly tenses again. I never forget, Monkey. I saw something happen to you, Heinrichs. What happened when you touched that machine? Heinrichs jerks his head and waves away the question, his movements sharp and unnatural. Talk about it later, but right now, his eyes settle on you. I must thank you, Holt. Without your help and cooperation, I doubt I would have reached the depths of Kiava Gamma and learned the truth behind my agents' dispatches and reports. I would never have ended up here, and I would have never succeeded in hampering the cult's activities. My business on Kiava Gamma is concluded. It's time to return to the mission that brought you to the industrial world. The only thing I ask of you is an audience when we return to the ship. So he's done with this bit of business. I don't think there's anything else in here that demands our attention. All these screens and flashing lights. I mean, take a look at this. I almost want to take a screenshot of it. This is so old world bluesy. I love it. That is still my favorite DLC among every single video game I have ever played in existence. I still think Old World Blues is peak. There are a lot of good DLCs for a lot of different games. Someday I might have to do a ranking on them. Would be kind of fun. Obviously, it's only the games I've played, so there are still many games that I have not played. Let's turn this. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games I really want to get to this year before the new year. Especially because what I would like to do is I would like to do a new top 20 of all time. So I think over here there's this machine here, and I think we have things for it now. It says Cyber Guard is asking for access codes you do not have. Oh, okay, so it's still asking for access codes we don't have. That's all right. We are going to mosey on over to here. This is really the end of the zone. I don't know why it's not showing this, because we discovered all of this. Probably because I had to back out of the game and save it and go deal with the remodeling of the room in the house and come back the next day to record the rest of this episode. Such is life. All right. Turn to the void ship. Except we're not done. This is fantastic. Sharp pain pierces your head and the light dims in your eyes. You smell smoke and burning. You feel a wave of nausea. Your legs buckle and your knees hit the metal floor. In that same moment, the manufactorium surrounding you disappears in a whirlwind of mist, ash, and gray shadows. Struggling against the elements, you can barely raise your head to look. Your eyes sting and burn, but through the tears you see it. A colossal silhouette rising above you. The roaring tempest is unable to shake the mighty figure. Your soul, tempered by the curse of sorcery, stands strong against the psychic onslaught, and you direct your gaze forward. You squint and wipe away the tears, and for the moment, your vision clears. Before you stands a mighty giant clad in dark power armor, lavishly adorned with bas-reliefs of snarling demonic silhouettes and punctured with prayer scrolls. 2 braziers are mounted behind his shoulders, burning with unnatural blue flames and emitting thick black smoke that curls and twists upward like a funnel. Behind the giant, you catch a brief glimpse of a crumpled figure bound in chains. The warrior's inhuman eyes bore into you. I am the master of those who have been felled by your hand in the halls of the primordial truth. I am Urulon the Cruel. The souls of my followers return to the fount of power they served, crying out for me to cast my gaze toward this sacrilege. And what do I see? Yet another lackey of the Corpse Emperor. The giant's voice causes the storm raging around you to die down somewhat, as if the very sound of his voice is enough to make the whirlwind subside. You glance at the huge warrior and notice on his chest a winding azure symbol. The shades of blue seem to glimmer and mingle together. I am the sovereign of Kiava Gamma. This is my world, not a dominion of chaos. Oh, clinging to illusions will do you no good. The rituals have already been performed. The mortals are already singing litanies of the primordial truth. or decorating the sacrificial altars with their flesh. Kiava Gamma, as you call it, is already saturated in the nectar of the truth, a fate that awaits all worlds that would stand in our way. What do you want with me? I want to look upon the one who has disrupted my flock's duties and my master's plans. That warrior from my legion, the Fabricator Censor. You think of their deaths as a triumph. However, it is but a minor hindrance on our path. There are other worlds that serve our goals. There are other sources of plasteel and adamantine. Revel in your victory. It will change nothing. Nevertheless, the blood in your veins whispers to the spirits that you're warrant a closer look. Yes. You are a descendant of the rogue traitor whose warrant Kunrad Voitver sought to obtain. By defiling the relic and binding it to himself with the tethers of the Empyrean, he was meant to become my servant, a rogue traitor who would do the work of the truth. But then you interfered. Could it be that you wish to gain the true God's favor instead? Do you wish to present the corpse's relic to me and serve the truth? Hear your very blood calling, begging you to submit to me? What would be the point of futile defiance? You waste your time trying to tempt me. It is not blood that defines a person's deeds, only their will, and my will is thus. Be gone from my mind. His expression twists in pain as he stares at you in rage and bafflement. Pitiful insect. You dare. A gust of wind sweeps Urulon's figure away without a trace. The mist around you begins to dissipate, revealing the dark halls of the Manufactorum and leaving behind an oppressive sense of powerlessness. I sense the presence of another psyker, Heinrich says. Someone made contact with you mentally and then tried to harm you with sorcery. I did what I could. You at least appear unharmed. Can you remember what you saw? It was a Chaos Space Marine. One of the traitors to the Imperium. I think it was he who touched your mind. I wouldn't have had the strength to go up against a psyker from the ranks of those monsters. He might have forced some mortal to do his bidding. Perhaps it was through the same hapless medium that he sensed the deaths of his henchmen. Heinrich looks away and frowns. Such indescribable power to have reached out to your mind at such a distance. He said something about Theodora and how the blood in my veins will lead me to serve chaos. Heinrich stares at you, whether in surprise or anger you do not know. Then he gives a curt nod. I see. We can theorize later. Although I will say, Holt, that his words do not leave much room for interpretation. The Manufactorium around you looks the same as before the vision. Maybe the shadows have grown a little deeper and darker. You dust yourself off and continue on your journey through the darkness. And thus concludes Tzeentch. The world's industrial heart has fallen to corruption, but numerous faint Vox signals from the periphery indicate that the planet's small manufacturing clusters survive without succumbing to the heretics. The sacred machines and hallowed lathes from these abodes have been reverently transported to the safety of the ship's holds. The fate of Kiama Gava hangs in the balance. Now, if you go dogmatic and purify it, you will get a mobile extractium. If you restore the Manufactorium in the shortest possible time without subjecting the wounded planet to a merciless purge, you will also get a Manufactorium. And if you do heretical, you'll get howler cannons. Oh my. Large, long-range broadside plasma macro cannons that deal 4 shots, dealing 26 damage per shot. Those are significant. Wow, fantastic. We're going to stick with Iconoclast, though. The blast furnaces are lit again. Machines once more fill the air with screeches and squeals. Mag trains of wagons stretch in lines from one workshop to the next. The cogitators' binaric chants carry alarming rumors, malevolent and foul traces of corruption still lurking in the deepest chambers of the Manufactorum. And so we have our chance to do a project here. And we have restoration, blessed are the weaponsmiths. And calculating holiness. We want to do restoration. It provides 2 times mechanisms. These become important for other projects in other places. You also get the cursed boots. Whenever the wearer ends their turn, they deal 1 warp damage to each adjacent creature and to the wearer themselves. The wearer also deals 1 additional warp damage to enemies. If you do Blessed are the Weaponsmiths, you get a Dark Marchesa. It's a plasma weapon, and it really doesn't matter because Pascal is going to find better weapons anyway. Calculating Holiness, you can get the Hand of the Xenocide. It's another weapon for Pascal, basically 2-handed melee with bleeding. So we're going to grab this for the mechanisms. Execute. All right, my friends. So that part is done. Well then, back to the rogue trader. Now we need to talk to Heinrichs on the bridge about the cult of the Final Dawn. And I'm going to make a note here in the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, let's go to the bridge. Heinrichs is going to want to talk to us. We should chat with him. Heinrichs, my friend, where are you? You are right here. Right there.
To what do I owe this visit?
Let's see. I want to discuss the cult of the Final Dawn. What can you tell me about it? Wait a minute. Are you satisfied with the results of your mission on Kiava Gamma? That's the correct one.
Of course. The Fabricator Sensor's machine was stopped. Not another soul will be sent into the mouth of the archenemy. In time, we will succeed in uncovering and stopping other schemes of the cult.
Yes, okay.
We dealt a blow not only to the cultists, but to the archenemy itself. I cannot help but be pleased.
And just making a note here. Trying to get my Excel spreadsheet updated. Touching the cogitator did something to you. I want to know what. We're not going to pass this, but whatever.
I touched the corruption of the archenemy.
Guess we rolled
Did
a
you honestly think
98.
the experience could somehow be a pleasant one? Psychers, even sanctioned ones, even those who have performed all the rituals, passed all the initiations, we are all gateways to forces hostile to humanity. I survived a difficult battle on Kiava Gamma, one that was invisible to others and potentially fatal for myself.
So what are you going to do next?
My visit to Kiava Gamma did not produce answers to all my questions, but we did succeed in dealing a blow to the cult by destroying the Fabricator Sensor's machine. I have directed my spies to track the sect's surviving leaders. I am certain that they will have useful information for us soon.
Great.
Small. This is a victory for the Golden Throne, and I have you to thank for it.
All right, that's all.
Thank you for finding the time for our conversation.
That should do it. You can have him get rid of Juliet. Oh my gosh. Or Idira. That's funny. If you want to play fully dogmatic, that's the way to go. Now, let's see. Planetary data to Opticon. We have Mundus Valencius. We have to go to plasma drive chambers. We have to search the plasma drive chambers. For the choir master. Talk to the Master of Seals on Dargonus. All that stuff. So, we have plenty of things to do. Well, I think what I want to do is end this episode here because this kind of wraps up this system. Unless, where do we want to go next? Because I think we're close to a world here that Nola Septum, and then we can head back over to here. Yeah, let's do this while we're here. We're not gonna reduce the route difficulty because we don't need to. It's just yellow. We're gonna get some message like this. The warp jump is unusually hectic. The recent attack at the scrap code disabled many of the sacred machines, whose malfunctioning algorithm showed no sign of failure until the vessel departed real space and surrendered itself to the Sea of Souls. Only the navigator's talent and tireless vigil of the tech priest saved the ship from ruin. So we can chart a new route to get a point back. Then we can visit here, and there's not much here except 7 promethium on a world. So if we want to grab that, we can, and we should have more extractiums now. So there's 7 promethium here. We have 9 extractiums. We'll grab that. There's this. The Santiel's pride hives are oozing noxious haze, veined with sulfurous streaks. Promethium fumes from the gigantic distilling cauldrons located beyond the temperature shields. Vast, endless deadlands littered with spots of promethium stations and refineries separate the colossi of rockcrete and adamantine with its crown of gargantuan spires. The heat of this system star has turned this world into a boiling but lucrative gland in the body of the House Quarter Protectorate. It's hard to tell what's more impressive, the grotesque grandeur of this place or its extreme toxicity. So, that's that. Santiel's Pride. It's one of Quarter's planets. And then we got 2 adamantine, we're going to leave that. So, what we can do is get back to this system. It's unsafe, but it'll get us there. Immaterium has released its from a script, so I'm not going to worry about reading the rest of that. Colony Janus has begun a new stage of development. So let's take a look. We got indulgences for sale. We get a profit factor of 1 on Foulstone. So on Foulstone we finished one, and on Janus we finished a project. So let's go check these out. Foulstone. So for we're at rank 1 on Foulstone when we finish these, so we can go to rank 2, and we want to do Hallowed Railway or Cemetery of the Faithful. Let's see, Cemetery of the Faithful blocks Hallowed Railway. This gives us Blessing of the Faithful, 5% bonus evasion. Hallowed Railway gives us the Requimator. Whenever the wearer kills the target with a melee attack, all enemies in 2-cell range around the wearer suffer willpower bonus mental damage. This gives you Explorators 3500, and this gives you Drusians 2500. I'd probably rather have the Drusians, so we can't do either one of those right now. Touched by Holiness we can do because our profit factor is greater than 20. It gives us Complacency +2. Affects the amount of profit factor produced by the colony and the speed of projects in the colony, increasing and decreasing them by 10% for each point of complacency, respectively. So, okay. Well then, what we're going to do is execute that because that doesn't block anything. And then on Janus, High Factotum Generalist Danrock says, Your Lordship, there are alarming reports coming from Janus. A number of strange mutations have been spotted among the population in remote agri-complexes. Aside from the obvious disfigurement and the subsequent estrangement, these mutants, called the Wretches by the rest of the colonists, Wretches! My son and I always laugh about that. If you played Gears of War, that sticks with you forever. These wretches are coming together to practice a primitive form of religion involving ritual worship of the land. While they display no disobedience or hostility, their very existence is concerning. The Janus nobility humbly awaits your decision. So, we take these unfortunate souls under my protection. They are victims of mutation, not villains. We get Heart of the Nameless. This item increases the wielder lore Xenos by 10 if the wearer is iconoclast adherent. It increases all skills by 10 instead. That's nice. And then you do these two and these two. You get security and efficiency. We're going to take this. We're going to get +1 security, lose a complacency, and we're going to get that Heart of the Nameless from it. Long live the Valencius dynasty. We could have asked some more questions about that. The mutants were put under surveillance. One of the watchmen spotted a mysterious relic in the hands of the group of wretches and turned out to be an item of Xeno origin. It is unlikely the mutants understood the nature of the object they worshipped. Having to live in proximity to the wretches disturbs the good honest serfs and leads to outbursts of aggression and violence. Yes, well, they're going to have to learn. Alright, so, rank 2 here on Janus. What we really want to do is the Capella Biologus, which, what do we need to do this? This gives you replenishing surgeon medkit, the best medkit in the game, apparently. Effectively removes traumas, which is the best part about it. So you want this. Our reputation with the explorators needs to go up. So in order to do that, we're going to get to 11,000. So we need to go make some. And that's what we need the mechanisms for. You need a mechanism for this. We also need some xenotech, which we haven't got to. The Secret of the Winter Scales. Contract available blood and nephium. We haven't even gone over contracts yet. You need chemicals and promethium for it. You need a profit factor greater than 35, and you need provisions. And this will give you these things over here, so it doesn't block anything. So we'll do this. And then if you go to, let's see, it's in your journal. If you go to contracts, there are these things periodically where you can trade something you have for something else. For instance, trading 2 xenotech for profit factor is great. A favor, you can trade plasteel for profit factor of 3. That's good. Anytime you can get profit factor is a good thing. Fuel for the faithful, you can trade promethium for profit factor. Like that. Tools of the righteous, you can trade weapons for extractiums. And this small thorn, you can trade profit factor for adamantine. No, we're never going to do that. Don't trade your profit factor away. So, there's that. Okay, well then, what we need to do is go back here. We need to go to the plasma drives, so that's going to be the next episode. Gotta go inspect the plasma drives. That is for this quest over here. Where is it? Not Eldarian Distress. Which one is it? We saw it earlier. Oh my goodness. Not Eldarian Distress. Talk to the Master of Seals. Heartless Void. Ablution in Blood. There we go. A brazen attempt on the rogue trader's life took place. That's our bedchamber. Got all bloody with the bath. Someone filled the bathtub with blood. The culprit must be found. The choir master's vision have shown that corruption lurks in the ship's plasma drive chamber. So that's where we want to go. So folks, we're going to go get ready for that. I will see you all next time. You know how the drill works. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave questions and comments down below. That's the thing that really tweaks the algorithm. And I will see you all next time. Until then, happy gaming, everyone.